Hey guys, Pinewood Derby cars on a 4-foot ramp. Let's see who wins the race. Okay, did you see that? The blue car beat the red car by probably a half a car. And that's on a 4-foot ramp. I let go of those cars at the exact same time, and the blue car is way faster. Why is that? It's because the axles and the wheels have been polished to a mirror finish. Okay, so I just started with the Pinewood Derby a year ago. My son and I are new to this, so I'm definitely not an expert on it, but is what I can tell you, and I just proved to you, is that if you put a bunch of time into polishing your axles, your car is going to be way faster. So my son and I built this car last year. Granted, it's got a lot of different design features than this blue car, but on a 4-foot ramp, that's not going to make any kind of difference as far as wind resistance or aerodynamics or anything like that. The only difference with these cars is the degree to which the axles were polished. Both of the axles and the wheel sets have been installed exactly the same. My son and I used an axle jig to install them, so the cars are built really close to each other as far as how the wheels are setting on there. They both weigh really close to the same amount. The only difference is the polishing. So this car here, 2 years ago, we ran this in the Pinewood Derby. It was our first run at it, and it kind of middle of the pack, you know. I think we won 2 heats and maybe second, third, and fourth place, you know, and the other heats kind of middle of the road, you know. But we were happy because you know, it was our first time at it. But when we polished the axles on this car, we removed the flashing, just like everybody says to do, remove the manufacturing flashing from the axles. And then we polished it using 600, 800, and 1000 grit. And the reason we did that is because I just didn't really have, you know, sandpaper, the right sandpaper for it, and we didn't have time. We were just trying to get the thing together and run it on the track. So it was 600, 800, 1000 grit, and everything looked, you know, pretty smooth. We put the car together and we put a couple loads of graphite in there, spun the tires around, you know, a few times, maybe 3 or 4 times per tire, and called it a day and took it to the races and did okay. This blue car here, we took it to the next level as far as axles go. We took the axles and we removed the flashing from the manufacturing process. Then we polished them using the following grits: 400, 600, 800, 1000, 1500, 2000, 2500, and 3000 grit, all wet sand. This car was wet sanded as well. Definitely you want to use wet sanding operation, as it's going to be a little bit more cleaner and precise than a dry sanding. Dry sanding can kind of pull chunks and stuff through. Wet sanding is great for these axles. And this is all, like I said, this is research I did online. I'm not reinventing the wheel by any means. Everybody does this stuff. I'm just telling you the proof is right here in these 2 cars. That axle polishing is a big deal. If you just do one thing to your car and throw all the other crazy stuff out the window that you see online, it should be to polish your axles. Also, when we got done polishing these axles, we cleaned up the flashing on these wheels and just kind of gave them a nice little buff job on the outside here. And also, after we got done, before we assembled the car, we put graphite inside the wheel hub and rubbed it real good all over the axles. Then we put the car together, and then we got it tuned real close, because this is a railroader car, so I had it so it kind of veers off to the left a little bit. So we got it tuned just perfect. We glued the axles in so that the axles couldn't move, and then we put the car on its side like this and loaded the hub with graphite and spun the wheel, and we did this over and over and over. And then we put graphite in underneath this the end of the axle right here and put graphite in there, rubbed it in. We just kept rubbing that, spinning these wheels with graphite in there over and over and over. Probably each wheel probably got 10 iterations of this, getting graphite in there, until you spin them and they almost feel like they're just gliding on air, like an air hockey set or something. And you spin them pretty aggressive, and they spin for like 20-30 seconds. It's probably a little slower now because the race was a few days ago. But this car here, you spin the wheels on here and they go for half that time. So is what I'm telling you is polish your axles, be really diligent about loading them with graphite the best you can, spin those wheels and just work it in until they just feel like they're just frictionless, and then that's it. Go to the races. If that's the only thing you do to your car, it's going to do pretty good. This one won every heat it was in. The closest heat was a car that came in probably maybe like right here behind it or something, so almost a car length. The rest of them were 2, 3, 4 car lengths behind. It's a pretty small pack of kids, maybe like 20 cars or something were in it. So there wasn't a huge amount of competition, that's for sure, but we were proud of this car. It did really well. There were some other kids that had some really awesome cars too, and especially some really neat looking cars. But that's it. This whole setup here in my demonstration proves to you that polishing axles, all other things equal, makes a big difference. All right, thanks for watching.